Imagine for a moment a vast open field stretched beneath the gray, unpredictable skies of late autumn. The air is cold. The soil is hard. The harvest of the past season has long been gathered, traded, or squandered, and the freezing winds of winter are beginning to howl across the barren dirt. One man stands at the edge of this field, hands deep in his pockets, shivering, praying that somehow the bitter frost will spare his land. He curses the cold. He complains to the heavens about the frost. He waits for the universe to bend its fundamental laws to accommodate his lack of preparation. Now look across the road at a second man. He stands in the exact same cold. He faces the exact same wind. But his grain bins are full. His timber is chopped and stacked against the shed. His tools are sharpened, oiled, and waiting in the dry workshop. He does not curse the winter. He does not bargain with the wind. He understands a truth so ancient, so fundamental, that it separates the master from the foolish. You cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. This is the great divide. This is the binary stake of human existence. On one side, you have the perpetual victim, the individual who demands that the world remain a constant sunlit summer, crying out in anguish every time the temperature drops. On the other side, you have the sovereign individual, the master strategist, who studies the eternal cycle, respects the natural order, and learns to navigate the four seasons of life with unshakable calm and disciplined execution. Life is not a chaotic sequence of random accidents. It is a structured sequence of predictable cycles. If you understand the seasons, you will never be surprised by hardship, nor will you be intoxicated by prosperity. Number one, understanding the law of the seasons, we must begin with a fundamental premise. Life is divided into four distinct economic, physical, and psychological seasons: winter, spring, summer, and autumn. Most people spend their entire lives fighting this reality. They want income without effort. They want growth without planting. They want peace without enduring the storm. But the universe operates on an uncompromising framework of cause and effect. Consider the binary choice every man and woman must face: the reactionary, busy versus productive. He reacts to the weather of life, running frantically from one fire to the next, mistaking frantic activity for meaningful achievement. The strategist, preparation versus panic. He operates ahead of the cycle, using the quiet stillness of the difficult times to build the foundation for the prosperous times. If you are to master your destiny, you must stop wishing the wind would blow differently. The same wind blows on us all. The wind of economic challenge, the wind of personal loss, the wind of health crises, the wind of unexpected hardship. You cannot direct the wind, but you can set your sail. It is not the blowing of the wind that determines your destination, but the set of your sail. Ask yourself right now, are you attempting to alter the world around you? Or are you mastering the vessel within you? Are you complaining about the frost, or are you stacking timber? Number two, how to survive the winter next. We must analyze the first season in the cycle of growth, the winter. Winter comes in many forms. It may be an economic winter where markets crash and opportunities dry up. It may be a personal winter, the painful loss of a loved one, the ending of a long relationship, or a dark night of the soul where self-doubt threatens to consume your mind. Winter is the time when things seem dead, silent, and unyielding. The foolish panic during the winter. They abandon their plans, surrender their discipline, and blame the climate for their suffering. But the wise know that winter is not the end of life. It is the arena where true strength is forged. I once knew a man named Thomas. Thomas was a craftsman, a builder of high-end wooden furniture. For 20 years, his business thrived during an unprecedented economic summer. Orders flowed in effortlessly. Money was plentiful. But because he had never experienced a true winter, Thomas grew comfortable. He spent lavishly, neglected to upgrade his machinery, and failed to save a reserve of capital. When the sudden winter of an economic depression hit, his orders plummeted overnight. Within 6 months, he lost his workshop, his tools, and his pride. I sat down with Thomas in a small coffee shop during those desperate days. He was bitter. He blamed the banks. He blamed the government. He blamed his customers. I looked at him and said, "Thomas, the bank did not cause this winter. The government did not bring this frost. Winter was always coming. The tragedy is not that winter arrived, but that you spent 20 years of summer believing winter had been abolished." Thomas took that lesson to heart. He stopped complaining. He spent that bitter winter quietly working in his garage, refining his skills, studying modern techniques, and living on bare essentials. He made himself stronger, wiser, and more capable in the quiet shadow of adversity. When the inevitable spring returned, he didn't just rebuild, he dominated his field because he had used the winter to become a master. Winter is designed for 3 distinct purposes. 1, to clear away the weak, it purges fragile systems, false friends, and lazy habits. 2, to test your resolve, it exposes whether your commitment was genuine or merely a temporary posture. 3, to allow for deep internal cultivation. Beneath the frozen soil, roots grow deep in search of nourishment. Do not try to skip the winter. Do not attempt to run from it. Become stronger, become wiser, become better. How are you utilizing your current winter? Are you using the darkness to sleep, or are you using the dark to study, build, and prepare? Number 3, how to seize the spring. Following every winter, without exception, comes the spring. This is the law. Winter never lasts forever. The ice will thaw. The birds will return. The soil will soften. Spring is the window of opportunity. It is the brief, precious season where effort yields maximum leverage. But here is the supreme danger of the spring. Spring is short, and it requires immediate, aggressive action. Many people survive the winter only to sleep through the spring. They are so relieved that the freezing winds have stopped that they sit back, relax, and soak in the warm sunshine. They tell themselves, "I survived the storm, now I deserve a rest." That is a fatal error. Spring is not the time to rest. Spring is the time to plant. The sluggard, delay versus execution. He waits for the perfect day, the perfect temperature, the perfect feeling, until the window of opportunity snaps shut. The harvester, urgency versus procrastination. He works from dawn until dusk, knowing that every seed planted in the spring will yield 100-fold in the autumn. I once knew a young entrepreneur named Marcus. Marcus spent 3 years in a grueling technical entry-level role, a true winter of low pay and endless hours. But during that time, he mastered a specialized set of software engineering skills. When a massive technological shift occurred in his industry, a bright, glowing spring arrived. Companies were desperately searching for specialists with his exact skill set. Marcus had a 90-day window where his value was at an absolute premium. Instead of taking vacations or celebrating his new leverage, Marcus worked 16-hour days for 4 straight months. He negotiated high-value contracts, built a client base, and planted seeds in every corner of the market. He understood that spring does not promise a harvest. It only offers an opportunity to plant. Because he moved with fierce urgency, Those 4 months of spring secured his financial independence for the next 20 years. When your spring arrives, when health returns, when a business window opens, when an opportunity presents itself, you must ride the momentum with unrelenting force. Opportunity is fleeting. To hesitate in the spring is to guarantee starvation in the winter. Ask yourself honest questions. Are you recognizing the subtle arrival of your spring? Are you planting with intensity, or are you lingering in the warm sun, wasting the window of leverage? Number 4, how to protect your crop in the summer. Once the seeds are planted in the spring, you enter the summer. Summer is the season of nourishment, but it is also the season of subtle threats. Your crops are growing, but so are the weeds. The rains fall, but so do the pests. The summer heat can nourish your plants, or it can scorch them to ash if they are left unattended. The central lesson of the summer is vigil. You must protect what you have planted. There are 2 major enemies in the summer. 1, the weeds of neglect, the small, seemingly harmless bad habits that creep into your routine and strangle your progress. 2, the bugs of destruction, external influences, toxic relationships, and deceptive distractions designed to eat away at your emerging success. Consider the binary reality of the summer months, the careless passivity versus protection. He assumes that because the seeds were planted, the harvest is guaranteed, allowing weeds to quietly destroy his labor. The guardian, discipline versus decay, he walks his fields daily, pulling weeds early, driving away pests, and safeguarding his future yield. You must develop an intolerant attitude toward weeds in your life. A weed is anything that consumes your energy without producing value. It is the superficial phone call that lasts an hour. It is the toxic acquaintance who spreads cynicism. It is the late-night mindless entertainment that drains your vitality for the morning. If you leave a single weed in your garden, it does not remain a single weed. It multiplies. It spreads its roots underground and steals the nutrients meant for your harvest. All good things must be defended. Every garden must be tended. Neglect is the primary architect of ruin. Examine your daily landscape. What weeds have you allowed to grow in your garden during this season of growth? What toxic habits or influences are quietly draining the nutrients from your hard work? Number 5, how to reap the autumn harvest without apology finally. The sun begins to set earlier. The leaves turn gold. The air grows crisp. Autumn arrives. Autumn is the season of truth. It is the ultimate moment of accountability. In the autumn, the land returns to you exactly what you put into it, no more, no less. It does not respond to your desire, your need, your excuses, or your tears. It responds only to your effort, your foresight, and your discipline. If you slept in the spring, neglected your fields in the summer, and spent your winter complaining, the autumn will be a season of embarrassment and regret. But if you prepared in the winter, planted aggressively in the spring, and defended your crop in the summer, autumn is a season of profound abundance. I once knew a senior executive named Arthur. Arthur started at the bottom of a logistics firm as a young man. I watched him work through 40 years of seasons. In his youth, he took the hardest shifts during the winter. He took every training seminar available in the spring. He defended his integrity fiercely during the summer, rejecting shady shortcuts that brought down many of his peers. When Arthur reached the autumn of his career, he stepped into the role of chief executive officer. He enjoyed a massive income, the deep respect of his industry, and a peaceful mind. I remember sitting with him at his retirement dinner. A young manager walked up to him and said, "Arthur, you are so lucky. Look at everything you have achieved. Arthur smiled gently, looked the young man in the eyes, and said, "Son, I harvested gold in the autumn because I bled in the spring and fought off the locusts in the summer." Luck is the excuse lazy men use to justify their empty barns. When your autumn arrives, take full responsibility for your yield. If your harvest is small, do not lie to yourself. Do not curse the soil. Study your mistakes, accept the result with dignity, and prepare for the next winter. If your harvest is bountiful, reap your reward without apology. Do not feel guilty for the abundance you work to create. Share generously with those who are in need, but never apologize for the fruit of your disciplined labor. Autumn teaches us the ultimate lesson of personal responsibility. You are the author of your own harvest. The seasons will continue to turn long after you and I are gone. Winter will follow autumn. Spring will follow winter. Summer will follow spring. The grand design of the universe will not change for your comfort. The question is not when the weather will improve. The question is, who will you become in the midst of the storm? Will you be the person who drifts from year to year, caught off guard by every cold wind, begging for handouts in the autumn of your life? Or will you be the sovereign builder, the strategist, who embraces the winter, dominates the spring, protects the summer, and reaps an unshakable legacy in the autumn? The choice is yours. The laws are set. The field is waiting.